CarolinaPrepper.com. If you're looking for quality food storage for hiking, fishing, hunting, basic survival needs, or just for everyday use, check out our food storage line at CarolinaPrepper.com. We also carry other fine quality products such as our can concealment holsters for men and women. Keeping your firearm under cover and within reach puts confidence in your hands in any situation. Our products are 100% American made. Check us out today at CarolinaPrepper.com.
Knowles on the news. Susan Knowles.
Well, it's been another winning week for this president, and I have to say it's been going really well. I don't know how you feel about it, but it's been absolutely great. We really love to win. We love to see this president win, and this week is really no exception. When are we going to get tired of winning? Well, never. that I can say. We're never going to get tired of that because it's just too much going on that we see hope in, that we're finally seeing that, you know, there is hope for us. There is hope for us as a nation, that we can make things happen if we have the right person in charge of making those things happen. And right now, we absolutely, in my opinion, have the right person in charge to make all of this happen. I don't know if you got to see the recent James O'Keefe video, but it was absolutely an excellent video showing who CNN is, who these fake media people really are, showing that the president was absolutely correct when he talked about a witch hunt, when he said that Russia, this whole Russia farce investigation, whatever you want to call it, has been nothing but a witch hunt. And he's correct in that. James O'Keefe, Project Veritas, came out with a video that shows him talking to CNN. And this is a supervising producer at CNN that he was speaking to. And the producer was saying, you know, I mean, basically, it's all a farce. That this whole thing is something that's just made up, and we know it. You know, we're doing this because we want ratings. You know, we're rating hounds. I wanted to use another word, but this goes on radio, so I'm not going to use that word. But that's all we're doing to you. We care about putting money in our pockets. We don't care about giving you the truth. You know that whole thing when we said we were the most trusted name in the news? We don't really care. We really don't care. As long as you buy that, as long as you keep watching us at CNN, we're good with that. So just keep watching. We'll just keep putting money in our pockets. Now, it's interesting because right around that same time, there were 3 people that had to be let go. Well, and they weren't exactly let go, but they were let's say they got to resign. And they resigned. And why did they resign? Well, we were told that, gosh, CNN they wanted to make sure this whole Russia story was told correctly in the future. This was unfortunate. They weren't following protocol. They should have been. They weren't. Shame on them. And so we got rid of those bad employees. You don't have to worry about them again because they're not going to be bothering anybody. They're not going to be giving you fake news. We got rid of those people. Well, come to find out, they were being threatened with a $100 million libel lawsuit. And why? Because now this is according to people in the know. The head of CNN, Zucker, was afraid that if AT&T and Time Warner merged, then they would put CNN out of business. So the machine started to spin. The machine said, "What can we do?" So the machine started putting out garbage and trying to say that this person, I can't pronounce his last name, but Scaramucci or something like that that is connected with AT&T and Time Warner, that he was connected somehow, with Russian investments. This whole Russian collusion story that's been going on now for God knows how long. And so it was kind of like, excuse me, just a moment, Anthony Scaramucci said, but I'm going to sue you for $100 million in libel unless you want to retract that. And unless you want to get rid of a couple of people and make them the fall guys, we're going to be going to court. And CNN said, oh my gosh, yes, we'll do that for you. So in other words, they chickened out. This had nothing to do with ethics. And in fact, you can hear the supervising producer in the CNN video that James O'Keefe created saying, that look, the whole ethics thing that we learned in school, that kind of is out the window. That's kind of old hat. That's gone. We're not doing that anymore. We're going to make money here. It's all about the money. And so the true colors are coming out of these people. And you have people like Shepard Smith, of course, at Fox News. He just can't understand. Well, look, CNN apologized and they retracted the story. What's your problem? Oh, I don't know, Shep. Perhaps it's because every day, all day, if they can do it, there's report after report after report about collusion. And wondering about, what did President Trump do with Russia? They said this. Oh, and always anonymous sources, unnamed sources, people we don't even know. We're not even going to tell you anything. Yeah. In other words, garbage, Shep, that goes on every single day. It doesn't boil down to one apology and we're all okay with it. No, it's a little bit more than that, but Shepard Smith doesn't seem to quite get that. It has to do with being a news media that will give you the truth because that's the right thing to do. We've seemed to have forgotten that the truth does matter, that ethics do matter, that morals do matter. I know we've had 8 years of none of that, and I get that, and we're going to have to retrain people, and people are going to have to relearn all of this and understand that the world works on morals and ethics and all that, and the law, or you have chaos. And I know that's what we've had for the past 8 years is total chaos, lawlessness, so that we're ended up in the place that we're at right now. But thanks to people like James O'Keefe, who has people go undercover and get this information, all of this is coming out now. And hopefully some of the people on the left who still, even in the face of seeing all this, want to blame the president. Well, the president, he's come out with fake news, so he's just getting a taste of his own medicine. Really? Oh, this president, tell me when he's been fake. Maybe he said some things before the election you don't like. Some of the things he said I didn't necessarily care about, but I knew when he was kind of joking about something, or when he has now as president, he's been very serious about things that he's saying. He doesn't come out, he's not fake. So don't compare him to CNN and Washington Post and the New York Times. How ridiculous is that? Just because, why don't you just admit you don't like President Trump so you really don't care what's said about him. Let that happen to you sometime and see if you still feel the same way. I'm sorry, people should be telling the truth and not telling you lies and fake stories so that they can make money from it. It's not ethical. And you expect people in the press that has a First Amendment right to freedom of the press to be a little bit more willing to tell you the truth and not to abuse what they have in their First Amendment right. But of course, that's not what we're seeing. And now this new video has come out today, James O'Keefe, on his birthday. Happy birthday, James. What better present than you could get than to expose someone else at CNN? And he's going to keep doing this. And today, it couldn't have happened to a better person. It was Van Jones. You remember Van Jones? I want to forget Van Jones and his work that he did with President Obama. he is so far left that he makes Bernie Sanders look like he's to the right. But Van Jones, goes on CNN and talking about, oh, Russia, 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 how horrible all of this is, how Donald Trump is all connected with it, the typical stuff you hear on CNN. And then James O'Keefe has him caught on camera saying all this Russia stuff is a nothing burger, to use Hillary Clinton's words. It's a nothing burger. But it's okay. We're going to continue to spread the lies because why? We're CNN and we can. Take out that little N in the middle, make it C-A-N. We can instead of C-N-N. Because that's exactly what they do. They don't care that they're giving you garbage. They don't care that they're lying to you. All they want to do is make the money. They want to keep going. They want to get rid of the competition. Well, I'm telling you, you're getting rid of yourself, CNN, Washington Post, and New York Times. It's exactly what the president said. This is a witch hunt. You knew it. You've known it all along, and you continue the lies even after you've been caught. Why? Because you're hoping that the majority of the public won't realize it, that they'll keep watching you. They'll keep believing in you. They'll keep thinking that you are the most trusted name in news. And I'm sorry to say that a lot of people on the left, that's exactly what they're going to do. This won't matter anything to them because they're not going to see it. They have other things to do. They don't watch the news. And if they're watching the news, they are just seeing the garbage that CNN's giving them. They're not looking and seeing the other news, which is what CNN is doing, and the fake news that's been going around, and the lies that they've been telling about this president. And then there are those people who don't care that CNN is lying about this president because they don't like him. So it doesn't matter to them. Now, if the shoe were on the other foot and it were Obama, we'd be out, marching in the streets. We couldn't have the lies. It's Obama. But this seems to be, okay for those on the left. Keep up the lies. Keep going, CNN. Yay. Where have we gone, with our ethics, our morals? We are getting them back slowly but surely. And it's an uphill battle having to fight to allow this president to do what he needs to be doing for our country, to watch our country turn around, to watch the truth start to surface. I mean, how long has it been since we've seen the truth? And we're not getting 100% truth from our government. Don't get me wrong. I'm not naive to think that everybody in government is telling us the truth. But I really feel that this president is in tune, for most part, with the American public, and he's telling us the truth. And how is he doing it? Well, he's certainly not doing it through the mainstream media because they take his words, they turn him around, and they point fingers at him. Well, but, you Russia. The word of the day, Russia. Just remember that if you ever go on some game show, when they ask, what's the answer, just shout out Russia. You'll probably be right most of the time because that's all people on the left can talk about, Russia. But again, thank goodness that we have a president who does care about what we think, who does speak to us through social media, even if it is Twitter, who wants to take away, our rights, to censor us any way that they possibly can. The new movement to censor those on the right, those with the rational voices. Let's get rid of those people. But I think it's just amazing to watch these people squirm. And when I say these people, I mean CNN, Washington Post, New York Times. These people who have hidden their bias in the darkness, for the past 8 years. When they came out and they would write something about Obama, how many lies did they cover up for Obama? Probably as many as they're telling against this president. And I don't know, they have their own agenda. And I don't know if you remember Cheryl Atkinson. She used to work for CBS, and she was fired from CBS because, why? They really didn't want her to tell the truth about a few things. And she said, I'm going to tell the truth. And they're like, well, okay, we'll part ways. Well, she worked for CNN at one time, God help her. And, she said, What the media is just giving the public an artificial reality. And those words, that those are important words. It's important for us to stop and remember that that is exactly what's happening. And we need to keep spreading that word and convincing those on the left that you're being used. You're being controlled. And you don't even know it. There's an artificial reality being created that is controlling how you think, controlling how you see things, controlling what you say about things. It's all the media is doing. I mean, what propaganda machine are we talking about when we have the media that is making it their jobs to do that? Who refuse to tell you the truth if it's outside of their agenda, outside of their reality. That's scary. I don't think we've ever had a state-run, media as we do now. And I'm not talking about this administration's state-run media. I'm talking about the past administration's state-run media that continues to carry the water for the left and for the former administration. I mean, how many times have you lately seen Obama, Biden coming out and talking, Hillary? Do you really care what they're saying? I don't. But you're hearing it anyway. They'll interrupt and, bring you these people as if they're in power right now. And in some ways, they still are in power because we have the media continuing to help them be in power. But it's amazing to watch these people in media push their agenda, push their narratives, and the general public who is not up on things as well as you and I are sitting there believing it. And that's the sad thing. I mean, they could tell them that the sky is going to fall tomorrow and people will go out and prepare for that. They'll buy umbrellas. When it gets to that, when you have a source like that is so huge and talks to the American public and the public believes it and are betrayed, that's pretty telling, and it's pretty horrible. And I wish more people could see that and could understand that. And I think we have to have a responsibility that we've got to keep going out there and having people look at the truth, whether they want to look at it or not. At least offer it to them. We don't have to shove it on them. I mean, sometimes we'd like to and say, open your eyes. But at least have them look at it and maybe plant a seed in hopes that somewhere along the line they wake up. And again, you've got people like Fox News with Shepard Smith. He's just as bad. And the people that he has on his program are just as bad. As I said, he couldn't figure out what was so wrong. Why was everybody so against CNN? Because, they apologized. And he didn't say, they didn't apologize willingly. they had to apologize or they were going to be sued off the planet. So even Shep doesn't tell you all the news. Even Fox News doesn't report everything. But again, thank you, James O'Keefe. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to America because of James O'Keefe. Keep them coming, James, because we're going to spread them far and wide. We're going to do our best on Twitter. And I know that Twitter will censor them, but we're going to do what we can do. And we'll keep doing shows like this where we'll keep talking about it. We'll get the word out one way or the other because the media is not going to get this word out. This isn't going to be reported. CNN certainly not going to tell you about it. But I think in general, what's happening, the media is out of control. Now, why do I say that? You only have to watch a press briefing to know who the media thinks they are. It's kind of like when Obama was president and he made celebrities feel that they were super important. That the American people just, man, you've got our ears, you've got our money, whatever you want. Okay, you're a celebrity. Gosh, thank you for being in our presence, right? That's how Obama made them feel. And they believe their own BS. Because as a celebrity, your ego is a mile wide and you think, well, of course people love me. I'm a celebrity. Well, they're finding out, you know what? It was never true. You're a celebrity in your own mind, and Obama made you more of a celebrity in your own mind. But the American public, for the most part, they're not buying it. We only have the election in Georgia, right? The one that we just had, to prove that. I mean, they came out with $30+ million to get this Ossoff elected. And they brought out every celebrity they could think of to go to Georgia. I mean, that must have been horrible for the celebrities to have to go to Georgia. I mean, Hollywood, we don't go outside of Hollywood to go to Georgia. I mean, please. And so they lost. And now we have the ego of the news media that was embellished more under Obama. Oh, you're just amazing. Thank you for covering everything that I do and not covering some of the things I do, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink. And he just made them feel like they were totally in control. And guess what? They pretty much were. And so, or they had that illusion that they were, and he continued to keep that going. And so they felt all important. And so when this president came on, in the beginning, they looked like they were going to be favorable towards President Trump when he was a candidate, because it was all Trump all the time. Well, all they wanted to do was gather information to make him look bad. I don't think he knew that at the very beginning of it all. And then when he figured it out, that they certainly weren't his friends, then he called it like it was. It was fake news. And that's what it is. And so now when we go to press briefings, we have the arrogance of the leftover press under Obama, who get they get their word from the top. I want you to go in there today and say X, Y, and Z. I saw a guy yesterday who had a mic in his ear when he was asking a question. So I'm thinking, why do you need a mic in your ear? Who is sitting there feeding you information and telling you what to do? Not that I didn't know. It's kind of a redundant question, but you know what I'm saying. Somebody's probably feeding him information back at the station saying, okay, say this, raise your hand, I'll call on this, blah, 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 blah. They already know what they're going to say before they come in there. And don't think that most of those people that come in there are people who are, thought these questions up on their own. They're given this information before they walk out the door. Now, I want you to go down there today, and this is what I want you to ask. I want you to put the screws in today, And and of course that they're there to do that. And yesterday was no exception. The deputy press secretary, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, came out, and they were as rude as ever. You see, what happens when you become arrogant is you feel that you have the right to talk to people any way you want to. That decorum, just because you're in the White House, who cares? Maybe next time they'll take off their shoe and throw it at her, as they do in foreign countries, when in the Middle East, when they throw a shoe when they don't like what you're saying. And they did to George Bush when he was president. Maybe that they'll resort to doing that pretty soon, because they're getting their little feelings hurt, because they're not getting the attention that they know is their God-given right. And so what they do is they decide, well, I'm just going to talk down to Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Sean Spicer, whomever. I really don't care who's there. And they think that they can do that because they've been told, you are wonderful. You're the media. We love you. This was under the Obama administration. You're everything. Without you, we couldn't function. And part of that's true, because without them, things couldn't have been covered up like they were, in my opinion. Now, yesterday, Sarah was just trying to answer a question. One of one of the little gotcha questions that always come from people. And this guy, and I'm not even going to say his name because one, I've forgotten it. Two, I don't care. I don't want to give him any more attention and time than he already got. But he's in the back of the room, right? They put him in the back of the room probably for a reason. They're like, let's just keep that guy back there. Now, I don't know if any of you listening remember the old Columbo, Detective, Columbo series back in the 70s. And he was always disheveled. He always walked around. He looked like he hadn't slept in a couple of days. Hair was a little mussed up all the time. Well, that's what the reporter looked like in the back of the room. He looked like Columbo. And he's, pointing fingers. I'm all mad now, and you're going to get my vengeance is mine, says the reporter, and you're going to get it right now. And so she's trying to answer a question, and the guy stands up and says, without being called on, without being recognized. I mean, no decorum. We don't need it. I'm the press. I can talk whenever I want. I don't need your permission to talk, so I'm going for it. He says to her, you're inflaming everybody right here, right now. With those words. I'm surprised he didn't say Missy. I was waiting for something like that. Something derogatory. Any one of us, right, are replaceable. And any one of us, if we don't get it right, the audience has the opportunity to turn the channel or not read us. You have been elected to serve for 4 years at least. Well, thank you, Mr. Columbo. Thank you for pointing that out, even though you were rude. Thank you for telling me the obvious. And he went on to tell her, and I'm saying tell her, that the press is here to ask you questions, and you're here to provide the answers. Wow. Seriously? So in other words, you're here because at my beck and call. And it's not the American public. When we're talking about the reporter. I mean, because she is there at my beck and call and your beck and call as the American public. She's there for me to ask her questions and for her to provide me the answers because I and you, we employ her. But that reporter, acting as a reporter, no, I don't think so. She's not there for you, sweetie. She's there doing her job. Why don't you do your job? And she was showing respect. Why don't you show respect? And he goes on to say, and what you just did is inflammatory to people all over the country who look at it and say, see, once again, the president is right and everybody out here is fake media and everybody in this room is only trying to do their job. You know what? I think she got it right. She did talk about the fake media. I'm sorry. For the most part, you are, Mr. Columbo, you are fake media. I mean, you only have to watch the news. You only have to listen to what CNN did. You only have to hear what Van Jones said. You are fake news. Does that mean every single media outlet across the country is that way? No. But you know what? If you don't like that badge of honor or dishonor as you've gotten, then change it. Change it. Don't get mad at her because she's telling you what you don't want to hear. She's telling you the truth, and you don't like it, Mr. Columbo. And next time, wait for somebody to call on you because you don't have a right to be disrespectful. What I don't understand about the press corps is they feel that they have this First Amendment right. And as I said, they do. But they don't have a First Amendment right to be disrespectful to her, to the American public. Because, when you're talking down to the administration, certain segments of the American public you're being disrespectful to as well. Because, I don't know about you. When I listen to a press briefing, I want to know what's going on. But that's not the way it's been for I don't know how many months, since the very beginning. Let's be honest. Since the very beginning of this presidency, this has not been about giving us the truth and the news. This has been about how can I go in there and put the president down? How can I go in there and make up stuff? How can I go in there and be disrespectful? That's what it is. I'm sorry. That's what it is. And I thought Sarah's response was brilliant. She said, I think if anything has been inflamed, is It's the dishonesty that often takes place by the news media. Thank you, Sarah. Uh, she added that it was outrageous for Mr. Colombo to, not the real Mr. Colombo, he had more sense and manners, but um, to accuse her of inflaming a story when she was simply trying to respond to a question from Breitbart's Charlie Spearing about the CNN story. And I'll have to tell you, after this, I saw other news outlets writing articles saying, and then she called on Breitbart, who has been conservative and pro-Trump, as if she planned that, and she was being discriminating against who she called on. And they didn't mention the other people from the other news outlets that she called on. No, we just had to pinpoint Breitbart. See, I mean, it didn't help. They're still talking fake news. They can't help themselves. They really can't help themselves. They continue on. They have to spread the lie. Like, she only called on Breitbart. She didn't call on anybody else because she only likes the conservative ones. You just want to beat your head against the wall. You really do. And I'll tell you, what happened to the Skype calls? What happened to those people? Some of them were asking genuine questions. Where did they go? Why do we have to have these people here with a total agenda? And I will have to say, though, on the Skype calls, I started getting a little disappointed because it was obvious that they were from local news groups like CNN, Fox, local affiliates, that were going to be asking some of the same ridiculous agenda-oriented questions. I was hoping when they talked about Skype calls that they would give you and me a chance to go into the White House press briefing through Skype and ask questions that other people wanted to hear. That's what I was hoping for. And that didn't happen. And I think, that's really, they really ought to do that. I don't care if you call it a press briefing, call it a town hall meeting. But give the American public an opportunity to tell you what they're thinking, to ask you questions, to get answers from you. I would absolutely be willing to spend some taxpayer money on that type of thing, rather than having the press corps come in and try to, suck up airtime because they want to be seen. And how do I know that? Well, let me think. CNN's Jim Acosta, who during a press briefing, when they had just the audio on, Jim wanted the cameras. Jim wanted the lights. Jim wanted the action. And he had a little temper tantrum. And then he took it over to his little Twitter account. And he was saying, I urge everybody to unite, to have these press briefings on camera. So he reached out to his colleagues. We need to be on camera. I'm sorry, Jim. Have you ever written an article? You're not on camera. You have no First Amendment right, Jim, to be on camera. But did that prevent him from standing up and making a fool out of himself in the press briefing? Arguing with Sean, the press secretary, that he needed to turn the cameras on. Sit down, Jim. Sit down. And he continues to have to come out and say these things. Because, again, they were given a lot of attention during the past 8 years. Their self-importance grew out of their ego because they were told, we need you. You're everything. And so now they've become demanding. Now they've become disrespectful and rude because they're the press. They're the press corps. And they want the briefings to be the way they want the briefings to be. They want to be able to have airtime. They want the cameras going to catch everything. They want them to see how rude they can be. So in the afternoon, they can be printed somewhere. Oh, look at this. It can go viral. Look at what I said to Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Look at what I said to Sean Spicer. See how rude I was? But I got my point across. Childish, childish behavior. And this is what we're getting from the press corps. Now, I've seen today two former press corps secretaries have come out and said, you know what? Stop with the live briefings. Just stop them. And you know what I say to that? Go for it. Let them go ahead. Let them come in and have their little, say or whatever. And allow them to, to have the cameras going if that's what you want to do. And allow them to republish it at night. But don't have it on live so they can do grandstanding right there in the press briefing. Now, I don't think necessarily that's going to cut down on the grandstanding, because if they know it's going to be published later, they're just going to ask the same stupid questions that fits their agenda. They're going to have the same behavior, and they'll just have more time to edit it, embellish it, make it look the way they want it to. So I think the only thing, and this is what they were going to do in the beginning, they were going to move those people across the street in another room. They weren't going to be in the White House. And I really think they should go ahead and do that now. And so why is that important, you're asking? Well, it's important, again, because of ego. It's important because they feel that they are entitled to be in the White House because they're the White House press corps. I'm sorry. You're not entitled to anything. You know what they should do? Take the seats away. Take the chairs out of the room. Make them stand there. I don't care. Stand in a room like everybody else has to. You have no more value than any other human being on this earth. You have a job to do. Go in there and do your job. Stop complaining. You don't get to have it your way. And, I think it's so hard on somebody like Sarah or Sean when you're standing there. You're in there to do your job. You want to do your best. You want to answer the questions. And you're disrespected. I mean, I'm sure that those people want to just go, you know what? I'm out of here. I'll be back tomorrow. If you people can be respectful, we'll start again. But they know they can't do that, because then it'll be, oh, well, we made Sean leave. We made Sean cry. He didn't want to answer the questions that we had because they were serious questions. And the president's involved in Russia. So they can't win. But there are things that they can do, meaning the White House can do, to take care of this stuff. Turn the cameras off. Don't have them live. Bring in people from outside like you and me asking questions. I think the American public would rather hear what we're asking anyway, because they know that we know what it's like to be us. These people who are the reporters and other people in the 1%, they don't necessarily know. So let us tell you what's going on. And I don't care. Make our Skype calls. They don't have to be live. If you want to edit them out later on and, just shorten it up when somebody's like stuttering or whatever and trying to get a question out or can't get their thoughts together, whatever the case may be, fine. I've got no problems with it. But you know what? I want to hear that. I want to hear some real questions. I want to hear some real things that are important to me and I know are important to you. That's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear, well, what are you going to do? We heard this in Russia. I don't want to hear that every day. I'm tired of it. I'm over it. I used to love to watch those press briefings because I went there in hopes of getting information. And I have to tell you, like I said, I liked the Skype calls in the beginning. It was refreshing to have people that were coming there with important questions. But now, again, I think those have started to dissipate a bit as well. And so people are just going to have to get over themselves. And again, the White House can help that along by taking those steps. Now speaking of egos, we can't forget Maxine Waters. I know we're getting a little bit away from the media subject, but after all, Maxine Waters is the queen of the media. especially MSNBC. You put a camera and a microphone in front of her face, and she's going to go off. And I mean, she's going to go off. Recently, you know, she hates Donald Trump. I mean, that's obvious. If you ask her that off camera, she'll say, oh, no, I love him. He's so great. I don't think she'll say that, but I mean, it won't be as bad as when she's on camera, always saying, I want to impeach him, impeach, impeach, impeach. Of course, I have no evidence to do so, but impeach, impeach, impeach. And then when they talk to her and they say, well, Maxine, why do you want to impeach him? I never said I wanted to impeach him. What are you talking about? Okay, Maxine. But now she has a new target. I guess the thing about Donald Trump, maybe some people are saying, Maxine, maybe you need to move it on a little bit. Just move on a little bit off that Trump impeachment stuff. And why don't you find somebody else to go after? You know, after all, Maxine, election time's coming up for Maxine. She's got to get out there. She's got to show her constituents that she is all in. So she's got to keep attacking the Trump administration. Who better to attack than Ben Carson? You know, urban development, housing and urban development. The people that, you know, that would probably be the ones that would help would be the ones in her district. Another, you know, African-American man. She's an African-American woman. You know, they could work together. They could help their community, help their constituents. But no. No, Maxine's got re-election on the mind. Maxine, who is 78 years old, looking to be re-elected for the, 100th time. I don't know how long it's been. It seems like forever. I know. But so what is she doing? Here's what she says about Ben. I think that Ben should go back to being a surgeon. And she told, oh my gosh. So Maxine, thank you for telling Dr. Carson what he should or shouldn't do. Thank you for your wisdom, Maxine. And now she's saying, I'm going to take him apart. Now, I don't want to ask for an explanation. I don't want to know if she means surgically do that, verbally do that, physically in some other way. I don't know. I don't want to know. It's too scary of a thought because you're dealing with Maxine Waters. If you can help it, don't ask her a question. Don't make eye contact. And I think this is one of the times when she's going after Ben Carson. And she's also going, we can't stop at Ben, though. She's going after Betsy DeVos, Rex Tillerson, Jeff Sessions, you know, all of those people in the Trump administration. And that is when she's not allegedly giving $65,000 to Kamala Harris. No, wait, it was the other way around, wasn't it? Yeah, it was $65,000 coming from Kamala Harris to Maxine Waters to help Kamala become the California senator, the U.S. senator that she so lovingly is right now. And that wasn't the only money that Harris gave to Waters. She gave her more when she was trying to become the U.S. Attorney General, or of California, I should say. California Attorney General. And so Maxine's busy collecting all of that money. And you just wait till Harris tries to become president. I wonder how much Maxine's going to get then. And you wonder why, how do her constituents, why do they continue to believe this woman? What is it that she has that these people look at her and go, yes, go for it, Maxine, you're so right. I have seen her in some local rallies. I haven't actually physically been there because there's no way I could do that and tolerate that. But I've seen it afterwards on like a local news. And she's actually done a better job. So maybe when she actually gets around her constituents, somebody props her up and helps her along better. I don't know. But she did do a better job. And she was coherent that day that I saw it. I was really shocked, to be honest with you. And I'm not sure why somebody who is 78 years old, I mean, if she can do it, fine. I mean, our president's 71. But to be 78 and want to run again for another, 4 to 6 years, I don't even know what her term is. I hope it's 4. And I hope she doesn't get in, but whatever. You know, why would you want to do that? Why not just enjoy some retirement at that age? I guess we'll have to ask John McCain when he, I'm sure, tries to run again. So that's my Maxine story. The biggest proponent of fake news ever. The person who tries to make it appear that our president has done something wrong when he never has. But it doesn't stop Maxine from getting in front of the cameras and spouting the same lie over and over again about impeachment. And now, like I said, we're on to Ben Carson. She's going to tear him apart or rip him apart or whatever, take him apart. I think it was take him apart is what she said. But again, don't ask her. Don't make eye contact. While I'm speaking of the left, do you realize that the left's not really happy right now with former President Obama? They're pretty fed up with him right now, and they're speaking out about it. And you know, we've seen the left eat their own. We really have. I mean, we've seen them turn on each other. But you know, for them to start to try to turn on Obama, I mean, don't they realize that he's still the president? I mean, if you listen to the media, he is. Don't they realize he's still the president? And don't they realize he lives in an 8,000 square foot home that was, I don't know, $8 million with a wall around it with Valerie Jarrett in it? You know, the other White House, don't they recognize that? Don't they realize that? But no, I guess they don't, because they've been speaking out and saying, you know, we're not happy with you. Because why do you think? What would make the left turn on Obama? It's only one thing. He's not doing what he should do in preserving the image that, you know, he's the common guy, that he's in touch, that the Democrat Party understands you. You know, we have the DNC now. If you've listened to any of their speeches, and sometimes I have to for doing the radio show, it's hard to listen to, but they come out now and they're trying to appeal to the millennials. And so they drop some F-bombs and some S-bombs and some other types of profanity. Why is that? Well, because I'm just like you, millennial. I understand everything. We're simpatico. You know, I get you. So therefore, I've got to talk like you. And you see what happens is, if you're talking to a millennial, typically their net worth is not $12 million a year, as Obama's was when he left office. I'm sure it's much more than that now. But you can't, you don't want to admit, hey, look, I'm the DNC, I'm part of the 1%. I'm a former president, I'm part of the 1%. I'm Bernie Sanders, you know, I'm part of the 1%. No, you want to keep that little lie a secret. You know, that little, now that's a fact. You want to make it a lie, but you want to keep that a secret. Can't let that out. We can't let the millennials that we're trying to get a vote from know that we're richer than God, practically. And so the Democrats are saying, President Obama, and again, they think he is still president, could you please stop taking all of those lavish vacations that you're taking? Because it's not helping us. You know, it's making us look really bad. You're supposed to be, you know, our socialist. And you're out there with what is it, Richard Branson, Virgin Airways owner, and you're jet setting around the world here, and you are making elections coming up there, President, and you're making us look really bad. We would ask that you stop. And one of the vacation sites I was reading, now I think he probably got a discount because he's in like Flint with some of these people now, but it's to stay there is $80,000 a night, not a week, not a month, a night. When you got this book deal, I'm wondering, is he writing the book? Because when you're writing a book, you got to spend some time writing the book. And with all these vacations, I'm wondering, is he really sitting down and making that effort? Is somebody else writing the book? I mean, that's a possibility. Somebody else is writing it with his notes, and he'll put his name on it. That happens all the time. I don't know if you know that. Very common. So it wouldn't surprise me that somebody else is writing that book. I mean, after all, I don't know. Even the first book he wrote, I'm not sure he wrote it, but who knows? So when you've got your own party coming out and saying, whoo, back that up just a little bit on those vacations and the jet setting and all that, because we're trying to keep our seats. See, the American public is getting a little bit wiser than we would like for them to. We've got all this information now coming out about the press and how they've been lying to people, some of them. We're watching you kind of jet set around with all your rich friends. And, we need for you to start pleading poverty, because this is what you did for 8 years. And you got to start looking like that you care about the people that you said you cared about. All the African Americans that you supposedly cared about that you gave nothing to and left them far worse off than they were before you came. But let's not go there. Let's not worry about that. But let's make those people, again, all these people who love you, Mr. President, let's make them think that you really care. And by you spending all this money with people who are, still trying to work and raise a family and all that, it doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. Now, see, I could care less what Obama's doing, because you and I think, we know who he is. We know he's rich. We know that Bernie's rich. We know that Elizabeth Warren's rich. All those people are rich. Nancy Pelosi, on and on and on. They have more money than most people ever see in 3 lifetimes. So I don't really care what he does. But the Democrat Party, in order to keep up that lie that they are the party of the people, they have to get Obama and pull in the reins on him and get him to stop. Things I don't understand is that one daughter that's going to school, is she jet setting with him, or is she in D.C. going to school? Because the whole farce was, we got to have this house in D.C. because our daughter has got to finish school here. Something tells me that she's not been at that school ever since January, that she's jet setting around with mom and dad, and she's got little, special tutors that are going with her and making sure that all of her work is done. So that D.C. house right now is being occupied probably by herself with Valerie Jarrett and maybe Michelle's mother, but she's probably on the trip too. So they've got to make it look like that he's back in the fold, that that he's back out there community organizing. Hey, we need you for the summer. I know you want to kick back and all that, but we need you here for the summer and our resistance rallies and our resistance this and our little cookouts that we're having. And we bring all these people in. And by the way, if you drop an F-bomb every now and then, it'll make it appear to the millennials that you really get them. I really, it is hilarious when you watch the left starting to lose it. When you watch the left going, oh, wait a minute, how are we going to stop this president? We tried with Russia to stop President Trump. We have tried, with every allegation that we can. We have tried with getting our mainstay, mainstream media coming in to do the dirty work, and it's not helping. What are we going to do? Because if this winning keeps up and the American public keeps seeing this winning, we're going to be in trouble. We're going to be in trouble because we're not going to get elected in 2018. We may even lose seats in 2018 and 2020. Yeah, I think you should prepare yourself for that, Democrats, because the public is waking up more and more. They're waking up to the fact that not only did you lie to them for the past 8 years, but you continue to lie to them. And if they could only get to some of that information that you now have in the library that nobody can get about Susan Rice because, oh, that's in the Obama library. We that's safe over here for 5 years. And if more information keeps coming out with Comey and everything else, I mean, he's already opened up a can of worms that I don't think the Democrats were even hoping. They were hoping that he would just go away and nothing would happen. And Podesta went in there and talked behind closed doors. What did he say? Should Hillary be worried? I mean, I think that they were hoping that all of this stuff with Robert Mueller would just be, let's go in, let's get Trump, let's get out. And they knew, I take that back. They knew they weren't going to get Trump because they knew nothing was there. But it was a distraction. A distraction from Podesta, from Hillary, from Susan Rice, from Attorney General Lynch, from Comey, all of these people who've been working in the darkness for the past 6 years. But they keep trying. And, thank goodness we do have people that are really coming out and telling us all the stuff that's been going on. And we know how unfair, we were starting to really see how unfair and unbalanced the media really is. There's a group called the Media Research Center, and they're a kind of a watchdog group now for conservatives, saying that we're going to go we will be watching you. We're watching you, media. We're going to watch you. Everybody out there who's putting on a TV program, we're going to be looking for the bias against conservatives. And they're now tracking what the media is doing. And they have found something pretty interesting. They have found that since Mueller was appointed special counsel on May 17th, that the mainstream media has dedicated 55% of its coverage to the Russia investigation. And that a third of that information that came from anonymous sources. So the media, 55% of the mainstream media has been focusing all of their attention on this farce of a Russian investigation. And that a third of that information came from anonymous sources. And that information that came from anonymous sources has later been proven erroneous. So that tells you a lot right there of what's been going on, of what's going to continue to go on with the media, with the Democrats, because I think now people are running scared. They know that time is short for more truth that they were hoping would be buried and never come out is going to surface. And they're not going to be happy about it. And that's good for you and me. That's good for the 2018 elections that are coming up. And it's good for the 2020 elections that are coming up. Because I think we're going to start seeing a lot of these people sort of fall to the wayside and giving the president finally more time to run his agenda, to do what he feels that he needs to do for the American public. And it's been a great thing to watch, especially with the Supreme Court ruling that came out that said, yes, President Trump, you did the right thing for the American people by trying to protect them with your travel restrictions. It was the court. It was the court who didn't do the right thing. And it was 9-0 in favor, and we'll see where that goes when they have the big hearing, the final hearing on everything at the Supreme Court level in October. It should be interesting, but for now, the American public finally has more protection in place. than they've had because of the courts overstepping their authority and trying to act, to have more authority than the president. I want to thank you so much for coming here today for the taping of Knowles on the News. So glad to see you. Until next time, please take care of yourself. Be kind to each other. We are winning America. It's all great. See you again next time. Take care, everybody. God bless.